Welcome to class 2 of this training series on Python basics programming. By the end of this class, students should be able to write and use comments to improve code readability, and create and use variables in Python, understand and differentiate between Python core data types, perform operation using the arithmetic, comparison, logical, and assignment operator, evaluate expression using variables and operator, convert between different data types using casting techniques, then build script that perform calculation and manipulate string. So we are starting with comment. What is comment? Comments are lines in Python code that are ignored during execution. So they are used to describe what the code does, make code more understandable, and disable specific line of code. I told you that Python programming is a kind of an interpreted language. So it runs its code line by line. Unlike Java, which is a compiled language, it has to compile the whole code before it starts running. So if your code runs into an error as it is running, basically Python do justice to kind of trying its best to point you to the line of code that is having issue. That line of code can be commented out for kind of readability to explain your code so that if other developers see your code, they know the functionality of your code. Use comments. And then we have so many types of comment. We have the single line comments, which you only use this hashtag. And then we have the multiple line comment, which is kind of a triple quote. So single line comments and then multiple line comments. What are variables? Variables in Python. So variables is a kind of a name location used to store data in memory. In Python, you do not need to declare the type before assigning a variable. Python is dynamically typed. So why they are saying Python is dynamically typed, it means that you don't have to declare the kind of type before Python knows that, okay, this type of value is being stored in this variable. Unlike Java, you basically need to tell Java, please, the type of value they are stored there. But in Python, it is dynamically typed. So rule for naming your variable, you must kind of follow this specific rule in naming your variable. You must start with an underscore or a letter. So you should start with a small letter or an underscore. Cannot start with a number. Cannot start your name with a number. The variable name are case sensitive. A small letter AGE is not the same thing as capital letter A. So if you are naming H is only accessible with this small letter. If you use capital letter, you won't access this variable. So some keyword like class, while, and the rest should not be used while naming your variable. So example, we have name here, storing a string, Daniel. So if I want to access Daniel, all I need to do is to call on this variable name. Same thing with H, is storing a number, which is an integer, value of 25. So if I want to access 25, I have to just call this H. Is student, this is storing a boolean, which is true or false. Then the score is storing a float. So best practice is use a meaningful variable name. This is for people that are using Python for backend development, that is Django. So you need to learn how to make your variable name meaningful. Don't just use num1, num2, and most of those things. Though maybe in some cases there are time you need to use it, but total price makes sense. Like somebody knows that, okay, this variable is storing a kind of a value of a total price of maybe e-commerce site or also. So use a lowercase underscore for readability. So practically you need to use lowercase for most of your naming as well. So Python data type in programming, data type define the kind of value a variable can hold, please. So in Python, data type are dynamically assigned, just like we said earlier. I don't need to specifically tell Python that this is a string, this is an integer, this is a float. You just need to put your value in there, then Python automatically knows the kind of value that is there. Meaning you don't need to explicitly declare a variable type. So for example, we have a type description at the example. We have a type int. Int is a whole number, no decimal. So if you have something like x equals to 10, you know that is what? An integer. Same thing here. The pi, which is 3.14. Anything that has to do with decimal place automatically becomes a float in Python. So complex number, anything that comes with this j, 2 plus 3j, we automatically store it as a complex number. So we have another data type called string. Then the string is a sequence of characters enclosed in a single or double quote. So even though you enclose a number in a double quote, it automatically becomes a string. It's not an integer or a float again. So anything you put in a double quote like this is what? Is a string. So you can see that Alice is a string, is stored in a variable name. Then we are trying to greet the Alice using greetings. Then hello plus the variable name. Now, this variable name is being called upon. As it is being called upon, it will now print the value, or is holding the value Alice. So if we are printing greeting, it's going to print hello Alice. So string can be concatenated, sliced, and formatted. So string slicing is maybe when we are doing the list, the tuples, we learn about string slicing. That means maybe in a list of kind of string, you can get one or two strings from out of it. So concatenation means that you can add string using the addition and the rest. So you can see that we add one string to another using this addition sign. We can add it to numbers as well. So the booleans represent logical value which can be true or false. So for example, is valid equals true, is locked in equals false. So this basically is used in backend development. So if this variable is valid is storing false, it means that some features you will not have access to, especially in e-commerce sites. Maybe if it's storing this, it should not be showing your dashboard because you don't have access to dashboard. So at that place of dashboard, it should be showing something like login. You get it. So this is very, very important and you need to learn it as well. So Boolean are often used in conditional or a logical operation. Python operator, we have so many types of operator. We have the arithmetic operator, which is just like the mathematics operators that you use. Can be addition. X plus Y is kind of adding two variables. If X is storing 10, Y is storing 10, then X plus Y, if you want to print X plus Y, is going to give you 20 because the addition operator here adds two variables and the value in this variable is what is going to be added. So the subtraction operation does us the same thing. It just subtract the variable. Like I said earlier, if 10 is stored in our X and then 10 is stored in our Y, then 10 minus 10 is going to give us 0. So if we are printing this, we are going to have 0. So multiplication is just the asterisk you use for your multiplication. Same thing is storing, maybe X is storing the value of 10, then Y is storing the value of 10. It's basically 10 times 10 and the rest of the thing. So division is using this slash. This kind of division will give your answer in float. It will give your answer in float. Like if you are dividing 2, if X is storing 2 and then Y is storing 2 as a variable, if you use this command, it's going to kind of give you 2.0. Yeah, but if you use this, it's going to give you kind of no decimal, like no point. It's going to give you like 2 also. So if you are doing calculation that you don't need a decimal place, you can go with this. So modulus, remember, is trying to, it will only print like the remainder of a value. And let's say you are dividing 2 by 2, the remainder is 0. So if you are doing that, if your X is storing 2, your Y is storing 2, then you are dividing it, the remainder is going to be 0. So if you are using this command, it will automatically print 0. So the exponential is just using the star the asterisk. 2 asterisks will give you the exponential. That means if your X is 2, let's assume X is 2. Okay, let's assume X is 10 and Y is 2. It's just like 10 raised to the power of 2. So that is it. The logical operator is actually the and, the or the not operator. logical operator will give true or false. Okay, so logical operator actually comes with true or false. So let's say, for example, x is less than 5 and x is also x is greater than 5, and x is less than 10. If it is true, it will return true. If it is false, it will return false. So let's use 2. For example, we save 2 in our x. 2 is greater than 5. 2 is not greater than 5. And 2 is less than 10. 2 is less than 10. So since it has not met these two conditions, it will actually give false. So it will only return true if the two conditions that you are giving is met. But if the two conditions are not met, it's going to return false. So same thing with this or statement is going to be like, okay, if one of the conditions is true, I'll return true. But if both conditions are false, I return false. And then the not will just check if the condition is the reverse. So the reverse result, if the condition is true, it will return false. If the condition is false, it will return true. That is it. So assignment operator is basically what you are going to use in most time in programming, like the equals to, which is used to assign a value to a variable. Please take note that equals to in Python is not just a single equals to. You have to double it. So if you are saying that x equals to y, so we are going to be x equals to, then we add another equals to y. That is kind of equals to in Python program. But if you are using single equals to, that means we are talking about the assignment. You are assigning a value to a variable. Then the plus equals to, which is, we call it the add and assign. The add and assign is trying to be like the value that was in x, please increase it by 2. Add 2 to it. Same thing, the value with subtract and assign. It means that the value that was in x subtracted by 1. Same thing, we multiply the value that was in x multiplied by 3. Same thing, we divide the value that was in x divided by 4. So any value that was in x, all this operation will be carried out. Then typecasting and conversion. So typecasting refers to converting one data type to another data type. Implicit type of conversion is just adding a float to an integer, and immediately the result gives us float. This is the implicit type of conversion. But the explicit type of conversion is us doing it manually. We are converting it manually. It is not automatically. So implicit, Python automatically converts a smaller data type to a larger one, like the int to float. While explicit, you manually convert it using the built-in functions such as the int that we talked about, the float, the string, and the rest of it. So this A is storing a string, because I told you earlier that anything that has to do with double quotes is what? Is a string. And B is storing an integer, because we have converted this string, which is an A. So look at the int here. The int function here comes like the A variable comes into the int function. Then automatically it will convert this variable to string and to integer, please, because B now is storing an integer of A variable. So C is converting the number 45.6, which is a float, to a string. And C, like we said, converts float to a string. Now the number that is going to be stored in C variable now is going to be string. And then 3.14, which is a string, because we have quoted it, it's going to be converted to float. So using the float function, float, open your bracket, you close it, convert. So basically the conversion functions are what? The int converts to integer, the float, this open and close bracket, convert to float, the string, open and close bracket, convert to string, and the boolean, open and close, convert to that. So the lab kind of hands-on lab, we are going to create a script to perform simple calculation. We are going to kind of manipulate and format string as well. So let's meet in our VS Code. Welcome to class 2 demo practical in our training series on Python programming basis. So let's go with class 2, create a new file, class 2 .ipynb. I basically talk about how to install your VS Code and the rest in lesson 1. So firstly, we are talking about comments. We said that comment is used to ignore a kind of line of code. So imagine that we are trying to give explanation to this line of code, print hello world. We're trying to give other developers a clue of what this line of code means. We use the @ to the developer. This prints a string, or this line display a string. So if we try to run the code, okay, it's connecting to our kernel. Please give it some time. Okay, so we have the results here. It prints hello world to our screen. We talk about the print and the input function in our last class as well. So if we kind of take off this comment, then we try to run the code, you can see that we have run into a syntax error, trying to tell us that this is not accepted. And I told you that Python tried to do justice to kind of telling you what is wrong with the code, and then it's kind of tell you the line that goes wrong. So you can see it's giving us an arrow here telling us that something is wrong in this place. So that is a kind of a single line comment in which you to go with #. So if you go with #, and pretty much our code is now run. So let's talk about the multiple line comment. So multiple line comment is trying to, if you want to write a longer comment that, span multiple line, let's do the same thing here. Hello world. And then we give this out. This is a multiple line comment. You see, we have commented out so many lines of code. So you can see what is going on. So with this, we can comment 2, 3, 4 lines of programs, and then it will still give us our desired output. So depending on what you want, for single line, you go with this, and then for multiple line, you go with that. The way you can name your variable, please, if you want to name a variable, don't start it with a number. You can see it's already giving me red, showing me that, or telling me that it is not acceptable. Start it with an underscore name, which is storing a string, Daniel. Then you can print that out. Okay, so that is pretty much it. So if you want to name your variable name, you can start with an underscore, or you can start it with a small letter. It's still accepted. But okay, yeah, use something here. Start with a small letter, but don't use keywords like if, because if is already a keyword in Python programming. And don't use keyword like while, else if, and the rest. And please try to make your keyword meaningful. If you are doing something like in terms of backend development, something like is locked in, which can be true. So we can print is locked in. So we have it here. Can print it out. So which is true. So please try to make your naming variable to be meaningful. Try to make it meaningful. So from there, we talk about data types. After variable, we talk about data type. We say we have so many types of data type. We have the string, which we have been using. We tell you that the string is anything you put in double quotes, like the Daniel here. As far as the double quotes, it's automatically become a string. So even though you put numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you try to print and name, you can see that this is a string. Okay, let's try to use that. So you can see that this is a string. So type function, then the name of the variable is going to tell you the type of value that is stored in that variable. So if we delete this out, let's take out the quotes, then you can see that it's an integer. Then if we add decimal place 0.0, you can see that it is a float now. Then if we use something like true, then we can see that it is a boolean. So that is it. So take note of the string, the variable, no, please, not the variable. Take note of the string, the number type, which is the integer, the float, and take note of another one, boolean. Then we have other ones like the list. The list is coming with this square bracket. We have something like 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is separated by comma. So you can see this is a list. It prints out the list and then it gives us the type. Using this type function, then the name of the variable, it will show you the type. So that is a list. And then we have another one, which is tuple. Yeah, let's go with tuple for now. So tuple comes with a bracket. So let's say 12. All these things are used for maybe grouping some items. 12, 13, 14, 15, and the rest. So you can see tuple giving us that data type tuple. So we have another one which is called dictionary. It's still for the grouping of items. We have the list, we have the dictionary, and we have the tuple. So dictionary comes with curly bracket. Then you can do this, still separated by comma. You can store your string, you can store your numbers, your integers, and the rest, your float, depending on what you want to save in this kind of string in your list, your tuple, or your dictionary. So you can see this is a set. So that is where you stop for data type. So data type, we have the string, as we said, is double quotes. We have number data type, where we talk about the integer, which is the whole number, talk about the float, which comes with decimal place. Then we have the boolean, which is either true or it can be false. It can be false as well. It can be false. So we have the boolean here. So let's talk about I think that is it. Let's go over to what we had here. Operators. So the next one is operators. So operators, we basically talked about arithmetic operator, the logic operator, the assignment operator, and the rest. So let's go to our VS Code. Arithmetic operator is basically used for maybe most of your operations in Python programming. Let's say x equals to what? Equals to 10. And then y equals to 12. And then our z equals to x plus y. Then we are going to print z. Please, z. So x is 10, y is 12. So 10 plus 12 is going to be 22. So you can see we have our 22 because z is storing x plus y. So the result of x plus y will be saved in what? In z variable. Then we print out that variable. You can also print it out from here as well if you want to. You can actually say print x plus y. and then we print it out. So you can see what we have there. Then same thing with subtraction. Same thing with subtraction. Let's use this. Let's use Z for now so that you can change it dynamically. Same thing with subtraction. You can see 10 minus 12 is what? Is minus 2. Same thing with multiplication, which is asterisk, please. Asterisk multiplication. So 10 times 12 is 120. Same thing with modulus and division first. 10 divided by 12 is 0.83333. So if you want to have whole number, if you want your answer to be whole number, you use the double slash to have your answer in whole number. So it will take off the decimal places, the rest of it, the float, take it off and give you answer in whole number. So we have the modulus, which gives us the remainder. Okay, so 10 divided by 12 is 1, remainder 10. I think it's so. 10 divided by 12 is 1, remainder 10. So because you need 10 to complete 12. So same thing with exponential. Exponential is this. You're trying to be like 10 raised to the power of 12. So I think we should go with a smaller number there so that you understand. So let's assume our x is 2 raised to the power of 2. So 2 raised to the power of 2 is 4. So basically, that is it. So that is how to use the arithmetic operators. Then we have another one which we call the logical operator. Logical operator actually return true or false. Then we have the and, we have the or, and we have the not. For now, let's go with the and operator. I'm going to copy it from here so that we can be fast, a little bit faster. Let me paste it here. So let's say our x is equals to 2. What we are going to have here is false because this 2 condition is not going to be met. So we have false. X is what? Is greater than 5. And x is what? Is less than 10. 2 is not greater than 5. 2 is not greater than 5. But 2 is less than 10. So this 2 condition has to be met before it returns true. Okay, which number falls into this kind of category that will meet the 2 conditional statement? Let's say 6, because 6 is greater than 5 and is also less than 10. So if we change our variable x to 6, you can see it's going to return true because it has met the 2 conditions. So an operator is actually is used like in a place where you need the 2 conditions to be true. So the 2 conditions have to be true before an operator returns true. If the 2 condition is not met, an operator returns false. So just like our normal English, this and this. So the 2 condition has to be met. So we have another one, the OR operator. So we are going to use this also for our OR operator. So the OR, which is a logical operator as well, or logical operator, please. Okay, so this one, at least 1 should be met. So even though we use 2, it's going to return true. True. Even because 2 is greater than 2 is not greater than 5, it's less than 5, but 2 is what? Is less than 10. So one of the conditions is met, so it returns a true. So if we use 100 100 is not less than 10, but it's going to return true because at least 100 is what is greater than 5. But if we put in a number that obeys these two conditions, like the 6, is still going to return what? True. Unless we use a number that will not meet the 2 conditions. That's when it's going to return false. Which number is not greater than is not greater than 5 and is not also less than 10? I think we don't have that number. Number is not greater than 5. You can go back and think about it. If you have a number that's not greater than 5, the number is greater than 5, please, and it's not less than 10. Because the number is not greater than 5 and it's not less than 10, then you put the number is going to return a false. So let's use our 10 here. Apart from the logical operator, we have the assignment operator, where we have the add and assign, and subtract and assign, multiply and assign, and the rest of it. So basically, this is what we have. We can have our variable equals to what? Equals to 10. And then we have that our y plus equals to what? 2. Our variable equals 10. We have our x plus equals to 2. Then we print x. So you are right, x is going to be 12. Normally, x is what? X is 10. But because we have used this operator, this add and assign operator, we are now increasing or incrementing x by 2. Because we are using add this to the already value of x. So if we use subtract, so you are right, we are going to have 8. So you can see we have 8. Same thing with multiply. You use asterisk for that. And then the rest of the operator, we have the add and assign, subtract and assign, multiply and assign, divide and assign, and the rest of it. So that takes us to typecasting and conversion. Typecasting and conversion, where we said we have implicit and the explicit. So the implicit is automatically, while the explicit is manually. So let's say we have this. Our x is equals to what? X is equals to 5. Then our y is equals to what? Our y is equals to 5.0. Then our z equals to x plus y. Then we print z. Now x is storing an integer at this point. Then y, a float, as we have seen. Integer, float. But after we add the integer and float, the answer is going to be in float. So if we now start telling this program to give us the type of x, give us the type of y, and then give us the type of z, we understand this more. So we can see, okay, I think, yeah, let's do this. Let's comment this out. See where comment becomes important. Let's comment this out. You can see that firstly, our x is an integer. Then we comment this as well. Then our y is what? Is float. But the answer we have, which is our z, let's comment this and then reduce this, is what? Is float. So it automatically changes from an to float when you add your integer to what? To a float. So, but the one you do manually, you use what? The int function, the float function, the string function, the bool function, and the rest. So you use these functions to convert it manually from one type to another. For example, let's say I have name equals age equals 12. Age equals 12. So this is a string. Let's use type to check. You can see that this is a string. But we are going to convert this to what? To an integer. Okay, let's say age. Let's say new age. New age is what? Int age. And then we print the type of new age. New age. You can see that is an integer because of what? We have used this int function to convert the value that is in this, which was a string, to what? To an integer. So we have the int kind of data type now. So same thing happens with float. You can convert, let's say you can convert num equals, let's say 10. This is an integer. You can convert it to, which is, let's say to float using the new num equals float, then num. From here now we have print new num. Okay, so you have 10, but the new number is now 10.0. So you can see that we have converted it just using this function float, int, and the rest. So let's do let's put all these things we have learned to practice. Let's put all these things we have learned to practice. We are going to create, what are we going to create? We're going to create a script that performs simple calculation. Then we're going to create something that we're supposed to create something that manipulates string. So let's just create the program. So the program is going to accept two numbers from a user. It's going to accept two numbers from a user. Then multiply the number. It's as simple as that. Or add the number, divide the number, anyone you want to choose in the assignment operator, but it's going to accept two numbers from the user, store it in a variable, then carry out operations using that two number. So we are going to use a variable name first, which is going to be a num1 equals to anything that should comes in. We are going to convert it. This is what we call casting. We're going to convert it to what? To an integer. Or no, let's convert it to float. We're going to convert it to float. And then we use an input function, which we talked about earlier, input function, to get this from a number from a user. So we're going to tell the user, please input your number, or input your first number. Let's use that. Then we give it another variable num2, and equals to, we still convert it to a float. Then we use the input function. Then we give it this description, please input your second number. So after we have gotten these two numbers from this user, we are now going to add the two numbers. So sum num equals to num1 plus num2. Then we print out the number, the result. That is sum num is the result. Okay, so let's run the program and see what will happen. Please input your first number. I'm choosing 10. Please input your second number. I'm choosing 10. Then we can see we have 20.0. So that has brought us to the end of this class 2 in our Python programming basis. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for watching up to this moment. I hope to see you in other courses of this particular series. Thank you.